Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It is your girl Najwa. I'm so happy you're here. Oh my god, I missed you so much. Okay, so I literally made this video yesterday and spent all day rendering it, and then some technical hiccups went wrong, and now I'm recording it again for a second time. Lord have mercy. Anyway, guys, so we talked about Charles's crowning. Now I want to talk to you about Camilla's crowning. I want to talk to you about the coronation concert. I want to talk to you about Rishi Sunak's role within the coronation and Katy Perry. Why Katy Perry? Katy Perry. So let's talk about these things. Let's start with Camilla. Now, before I get into Camilla's crowning, I have to say, guys, did you notice when she got, for those of you who watched, because I know a lot of you guys chose not to watch. By the way, I realized in my last video, I forgot to say happy birthday to Archibald. I'm sorry, little baby. Happy belated birthday. Love you. You guys might have noticed, those of you who actually watched, because I know a lot of you guys were in solidarity with the Sussexes and did a little protest by refusing to watch the coronation. And I say good for you. I watched it, so you didn't have to. There's this moment where Camilla is getting out of the carriage, okay? So she gets out of the carriage first, and then Charles gets out of the carriage. Both of them have extremely long trains flowing behind them. You know, Camilla has on a really long dress, and Charles has on a really long gown. And Camilla hops out of that freaking golden carriage like, oh, yep. I mean, she got out so fast. And her little slave, assistant, whatever, behind her was like, girl, slow down. What you doing? Hold on. And she's just like trucking it. Camilla's like trucking it. And the train, I guess, there's malfunctioning. And so, you know, she didn't even really notice. And during the carriage ride, she was really smiley. I noticed that. She was really, really smiling. And Charles, when he got out of the carriage, he didn't have any train hiccups because slow and steady wins the race. And he got out of that carriage very, very carefully, calm, collected. So, slow and steady wins the race. By the way, Charles, his fingers looked so fat. I was talking to my friend about this, and he was like, oh my god, his fingers look like sausages. And I was like, honestly, Charles was very, very docile that day. And that, you know, the finger swelling, that really can be a side effect of medication. So, I'm not going to speculate on that. Anyway, Camilla, you know, I found her to be very smiley in the carriage itself. And the same thing for Kate, you know, which, let me go ahead and caveat this by saying this. A lot of people have really warmed up to Camilla, but a lot of people still remember Diana. And as I've said, when Diana passed away, I was like 5 or 6 years old, and I remember seeing those scenes of that horrendous crash on the television. And even as a 5 or 6 year old, I understood the impact of it. And so a lot of people remember Diana. I've even seen some of you in my comments. A lot of people remember Diana. And so they're not letting that go so easily. A lot of people, they're like, Camilla, we're not fooled by you. And so I think that some of that is reflected in this, you know, because Camilla was very smiley. Charles was very docile. In many ways, it felt like this was Camilla's moment, you know? And it's just like, what? This is Charles's crowning. Camilla's like happy-go-lucky, jumping all around. She's got her grandkids and the ceremony and everything. Oh, and I also want to talk about the balcony. Forgot about that. Kate kind of had the same thing going on. Kate had a big old smile plastered on her face. And I don't know, they both seemed incredibly, and what's the word that I'm looking for? Incredibly joyful and sort of happy, giddy. I think giddy is the word that I'm looking for. And then when they got in the church, obviously the tone is a little different in the church. It's like, you know, you've got the altar children, the altar boys, whatever, the altar boy girls. You've got the bishops and the archbishops. You've got, you know, the reading of the ceremony. You've got all of these relics, you know, golden chalices and golden staffs and the crowns sitting on this huge table, you know. So I get that that sort of changed over. But something that I noticed was like the tone from the carriage, you know, the ride through the city into Westminster Abbey, generally for William and Charles, for Charles and William, was consistently sort of docile the whole way. The whole way. It just was like, meh, you know, and for Camilla and Kate, they were very, very smiley, you know. Kate wasn't in the carriage, obviously. Kate just sort of rolled up and went in. Which, guys, Boris Johnson, this just goes to show you that the UK media, the firm, the politicians, is all wrapped up. It's just like the UK, you know, just like the US, where there's some interweaving in there that obviously is very, very, very sus. And I don't understand why Boris Johnson would be there. You know, that to me just sends out a message that the UK learned absolutely nothing from Brexit. I mean, the UK is about to run into a huge culture war, just like the US, divided, you know, because of Donald Trump. The same way, the UK is probably going to head into that stuff, because it's like they're not putting the correct things in. It's so tone deaf. It's so tone deaf. But anyway, Boris Johnson should have been there. That sends out completely the wrong, it tells me you learned absolutely nothing from Brexit. Brexit was just ill-motivated on propaganda, hot air, and vague xenophobia. And what's happening now? There's no food on the shelves. Kids are dying because you can't warm your house, and you've got this okay, anyway. As I've said before, I'm American. I live in France. I don't live in the UK. I don't feel like I have authority to say whether or not the monarchy should be there. But as a world issue, I do feel like, and an American, I feel like I should be like, hey guys, hey. I feel like when I can put a warning out there to be like, hey, we've done something similar. Like, you probably don't want to do that. Hey. But, you know, they don't want to listen. They don't want to listen. America's the snotty younger cousin, so why would the UK listen to an American, to those Americans? But anyway, I'm sorry. So when Camilla was actually crowned, you know, she was much more docile leading up to it. You know, when the bishop sort of places the crown on her head, then she gets that smile that she's had before, you know, in the carriage and leading up to the whole thing. But at the moment, it seemed like she was a little bit, I don't know if the word is nervous, but, you know, the smile wasn't on her face. She was looking more serious, we'll say that. And then when that crown finally got on her head, that big smile came back. You know, like Tisa Tell said, it's like, if you a side piece out there, pay attention to Camilla, because this is Tisa Tells basically said, which, you know, Tisa Tells, she's a little bit more spicy than me. I try to be as respectful as I can, even when I'm throwing shade. It just has something to do with being from the South, I think, you know. Like, my grandmother would insult you and compliment you at the same time, and you'd be like, what? But, Tisa Tells, she don't care about that. So, she literally was basically, well, at times in some of her videos, she's basically said that, you know, Camilla is very smart, like Meghan Markle. And I know some of you guys in Sussexsquad are going to be like, what? But she was basically saying, like, she's intelligent, but for ill purposes. It's like she's like the dark Meghan. It's like Meghan is intelligent and she uses it for the common good, for the voices and representation of other people, you know, for kindness, for philanthropy, for humanity. But Camilla basically just uses it for her own means, you know, just to, you know, navigate into those ways of power. But you know what? Like I said, I'm not British. I'm not from the Commonwealth. If that is okay for the majority of Brits and Commonwealth people, okay. But, I mean, I don't know. There was nothing else super duper special about Camilla's crowning. I think that was the basis of it. Now, I wanted to talk about Katy Perry. Now, Katy Perry, I love Katy Perry. I have to say that. I love Katy Perry. So I went to school. I grew up in Atlanta, and I went to an art high school. And when we graduated from high school back in the U.S., we went to grad night for our senior trip, which was in Florida. So we took a charter bus from Georgia to Florida, and we stayed there for two or three nights. And basically, what grad night is when Disney World, which Ron DeSantis is threatening to destroy. So if you're American out there, and hopefully if you're Floridian, please, please, please vote blue, vote blue, vote blue. They're trying to get rid of Disney World. It's like, how dumb do you have to be to try and get rid of one of the biggest tourist attractions in your state? Like, do you want to go into a recession? I just, whatever. Anyway, so our school went to grad night, which is basically when Disney World opens up its gates to like 20, I think it was like 20 high schools across the nation. And they basically are able to go into the amusement park after dark. You know, it's really, really fun. And basically all of these kids can run wild. There's different, you know, concerts, and there's different activities. You know, the rides are open. There's different themes related, like back then American Idol was a big thing. So they had this American Idol thing, this interactive American Idol big building. There was a ride that was made out to look like the movie Twister. Again, this was in 2009, so some of the references are a little old. But Katy Perry performed at a concert there, and she had on the cutest little polka dot dress. She had on Mickey Mouse ears, and it was one of the best. I mean, it's one of the best memories I'll always hold. And my mom came, of course, as a chaperone. I still was able to have fun with all my friends and stuff. And but after Katie's concert, I happened with like 5 of my really good friends from high school to see her walking with her security off stage, and we said, "Hey, Katie! Katie, hi! Katie, hi, Katie!" You know, and we were just flagging her down. She said, "Hey guys, I love you," you know, and she was gone, you know. But I love that. She was so sweet. And that just act of kindness. She could have been a snob and just not even acknowledged us. But the fact that she even just acknowledged us, I was like, wow, this is awesome. Katy Perry was also one of my first CDs, you know, I think it was One of the Boys, I think it was called. The one where she's got on the little, you know, vintage pinup girl outfit. She's on like a reclining pool chair. And I don't know, her spirit reads as good people to me. Now, despite that, okay, I was a little disappointed with her. Well, not necessarily just disappointed, but I was confused about her choice to perform at the coronation, because I thought it was such a lovely stance from Adele, from Ed Sheeran, you know, from some of these people to choose to not perform at the coronation in solidarity with the Sussexes, or seemingly in solidarity with the Sussexes. And, you know what? I read a statement from her, and she said that she basically wanted to perform at the coronation in solidarity with this certain cause, which was like the British Asian Children's Protection Trust or something like that. Anyway, you know, she obviously maybe wanted to bring awareness to a certain cause through this, you know, like this was a platform for her to, you know, sort of advocate for some causes. Okay. Would I have rather, you know, instead of it being the British Asian Child Protection Trust, which sounds wonderful because I am a child advocate myself, and Asian people, brown people, black people, women, LGBTQ, however, you know, children, I'm always going to advocate for all kids, obviously. But looking at what Meghan Markle and Prince Harry went through, you got Prince Harry over here at this coronation with a predator, with a child predator, and he called out racism, xenophobia, sexism, namely the racism, the hate, the harassment, the death threats targeted towards his mixed race black wife, and the hate targeted towards his mixed race black kids, which we know there is a reason why the mixed race black people are not on the balcony. It's because white supremacy is weaved in everything that we do, okay? Those of us who are out there and are woke, I'm taking the word back, we're taking the word back. those of us who are out there who are woke know that that is the reason, but people who are still blinded, either they believe their own lies, they actually believe that white supremacy isn't behind all of this, or they actually do believe that it's all behind this and they're just the puppet masters pulling the strings. I would have much rather seen Katy Perry donate to an African cause. I'm going to go ahead and say that. This has been one of the biggest points of controversy since Prince Harry started dating Meghan Markle, is the fact that he started dating a black woman and stuff changed. He started dating a black woman. This woman received hate, death threats, harassment, and constant media coverage, fake news, lies, and they're still going, this obsessiveness, for almost a decade, and the royal family does nothing about it, other than some half ASS sort of PR sort of stints about it. And the Commonwealth countries, many of those which are countries with people of color or black people, are like, we didn't like that. What do you expect? They're like, guys, yeah, we didn't like that. Even Americans are catching on to this. Guys, we don't like the way that you treated the black woman. We don't like the way that you treated the people of color. Still, the firm has, oh no, everything's great. We're going to modernize the coronation and everything's going to be just lovely. And it's like, so I would have much rather seen Katy Perry donate to some African causes. Because that is namely sort of the audience right here that has been mostly hurt by the lack of a stance that the firm has taken on race relations, on being an anti-racist institution. Everything that the Sussexes has said about systemic racism and institutional racism is there. It's there. And this coronation is an example of it. It's like, so Katy Perry's performance was wonderful. I mean, obviously, it was wonderful. But, and Lionel Richie, I was like, guys, Lionel's gone rogue. Somebody call up his wife. Call up, what's his daughter's name? From A Simple Life. Call up his daughter. Call up his daughter, because Lionel, he's I think maybe it's something, he's gone rogue. Yeah. But there were a lot of people at the coronation concert. It was definitely festive. It was lively. Charles and Camilla obviously looked happy. Charles's fingers still looked very swollen. I don't know. Offset of medication. I don't know. William's speech, just, okay. I did really like the band. You know I said it's true. I can feel the love. Can you feel it too? I can feel it. I did like that. I don't even remember that band's name, but I liked it. The Coronation Choir, I think they were called. Not buying it. It's just like, there is a reason that the black and brown faces that we saw in this coronation were service. They were service people. They were people handing the golden staff. Here you go, my majesty, golden staff. They were dancing and singing. They were entertaining. But were there any brown people or black people on the balcony? No, there weren't. So, yeah, I just saw the coronation concert and even the coronation itself as a big flash of black and brown faces to say, we're hip, we're with the times, we're moving with the times. But no, you're not. We can clearly see that you're not. And that is the difficulty with white privilege. You know what? My husband and I we're constantly having these conversations about white privilege. And luckily, as I said, I've got a woke one. But even still, my husband is white. That's how he's lived his whole life. My husband has lived his whole 28 years of life in a white body as a white man. So he hasn't been walking around thinking about his privilege. He just lives with it. So even with my husband, who is a woke one, we have these conversations. They're constantly reinforced. And we do that intentionally because this conversation has to be ongoing, you know? These are two people who are coming into their cultures and merging and melding them together and meeting at intersections that didn't exist before. And if these conversations don't happen, they don't move anywhere. They don't progress. And we were reading an article the other day, which I'm going to do a whole nother video about this, because we really had almost sort of like a breakthrough moment, you know, where he was just like, I get it, you know? He was like, I get it. And we've been together for 2 years, and we've had many, many moments like this. So it just shows you that it doesn't end, and vice versa. There have been many moments where I've had a closer understanding of how he arrives at his thinking. And one thing about white supremacy, which people hate hearing that word, they say that you're race baiting. They want to say, oh, guys, it's so much better than way back when. But they don't want to really acknowledge the perspectives of black peoples. They want to say that black people are over-exaggerating. Black and brown people are over-exaggerating. They're not acknowledging that they're the best place that they've ever had in society, in history. They want to say that black people are vengeant and angry and aggressive. They want to say that, you know, our perspectives are invalid. And they don't know that the reason that they think that way is because of white supremacy itself. And people are like, even my husband was like, I feel like people use that word white supremacy too much. And I'm like, why? That's what it is. That's what it is. You know, it's like, this conversation is uncomfortable for white privilege. I'm going to do a whole nother video on this because I found these wonderful resources, particularly some articles online, some from white people who really are like enlightened. There really are these activists out there right now, like Jon Stewart. He's not the only one, but he's just the most known one that I usually can think of out of the back of my pocket, who's like really an anti-racist. And they've done the research, they've sat down with experts, they've read books, they've read articles, they've watched videos, they've talked with black people, they've talked with brown people, they've talked with immigrants, and they've delved into all these perspectives to really get an understanding of it. The UK monarchy has not done that work, okay? Basically, they have not done that work. And so it's clear, it's very, very clear. They're taking like a logical PR approach to something that demands some level of emotional intelligence. If you really want to remove your complicity in white supremacy and the oppression of black and brown people, then you essentially need to open your mind up and you need to open your heart up. Like, there's an emotional intelligence that comes in it. But they're like, okay, we'll just slap as many black and brown faces, you know, across the entertainment aspect of this, you know. But in the actual administrative part of this, in the actual part of this that holds some power, you know, black and brown people won't be in that. So the black people who are actually in the royal family, Meghan Markle, Archie, and Lily, are not included in the coronation. That is for a reason. And somebody might come and say, oh, well, that's because they chose not to go. They chose not to go because an environment of inclusion, of understanding, of empathy was not created for Meghan Markle and her children. And Prince Harry, although he was sort of embraced into this, it was with sort of, what's the word that I want to say? There were sort of some prerequisites that he had to meet. You know, he had to be slapped on the wrist in order to sort of be embraced back. But they want him, but there's a clear separation from Meghan Markle, and people don't understand how that's part of it. Systemic racism means that the people of color, the brown people, sure, we may have a voice, but there is an active effort to keep them out of the decision making. And that's like the conversation I had with my husband. I really had to school him, guys. There's so many moments where he's like, oh my God. But I had to, because sometimes this happens, and if you let it go on and you let people walk out there with these blinders on, it's going to set them up for failure. And don't be mistaken, white supremacy hurts white people as well. It doesn't just hurt black and brown people. But my husband was basically like, what did he say? He was like, so we were talking about representation within, leadership, within just average sort of status within politics and the workplace. And I said, hey, the United States is 13% black. So why is the industry not 13% black? Why are executives not 13% black? Why is the government not 13% black? And my husband's like, oh, well, it'll take time for stuff to catch up like that. And, maybe that not everybody is qualified for those roles. And I just had to sit back and say, baby, hold on. So I had to school him. I'm sorry. If you are out there with that mentality, I get it too, because, and usually, that white privilege is like, you haven't been thinking in these terms, okay? But unless you're saying, yes, that is not right, and society needs to be progressing so that the faces of black and brown peoples are integrated within the workplace, within equity, within society. Unless you're saying that, no black or brown person wants to hear you. We don't want to hear it. We just want what we deserve. That's it. And so I think that the firm, I know that the UK and the US, their dynamics are slightly different, but at the same time, any country in the Western world, I'm going to say, has these dynamics. Any country that essentially has owned black and brown slaves is a part of this global call to action to give black and brown people the representation, the voice, the equity, and the rights that they deserve. That's just it. And so pushing Meghan Markle out of this, and the UK media for almost a decade harnessing this hate campaign against the brown woman, you can tell me all day, no, it's because she lied about her baby bump. It's just because she lied about her getting married in a garden. It's like, come on. We know why Meghan Markle wasn't up on that balcony. We know why. And you know what? After the coronation, I saw this whole thing about, all of the protesters that really didn't get to be shown in all of this. Like all of the Not My King protesters. I think it was on Democracy Now! If you have a chance, go head over to Democracy Now! On YouTube. They posted a video about it. All of the Commonwealth protesters that we didn't really get a glimpse of during the actual procession itself. They were there. So, the coronation concert, as much as I see black and brown faces chap dancing. Okay, I'm done. I'm gonna stop. As much as I see black and brown faces dancing for, this, that doesn't say that doesn't tell me any progress. That doesn't tell me that you're modern. It doesn't. It's not enough. Moving on. So Rishi Sunak. Why did we have a Hindu man reading from the epistles? Just please tell me why. I don't understand anything. This doesn't make you modern. This doesn't make you tolerant. This doesn't make you advancing in terms of race relations and because you know what? Indians are sort of like, and I want to say this the right way, but I think that the relationship historically, between the UK and India it's not exactly the same, and I want to emphasize this, but it can kind of be, in a way, sort of like the relationship between the United States and Mexico. Again, I said it's not exactly the same, and I know it, but I just want to sort of create this parallel to say that there is a lot of history of persecution, of battling between these two countries, of enslavement between the UK and India. And so to see an Indian man in this position of power in the UK is a big deal. I get it. But he just seems to be sort of a puppet for these, he just seems to be a brown face to sort of advance these ideologies of white supremacy. And I don't see that as real progress. And I think a lot of people around the world don't necessarily see that as real progress. And so hearing him read from the Bible, which I'm a Catholic. I love the scripture. I really, really love it. And even though I don't necessarily agree with all levels of this coronation, hearing the readings, the scriptures from the Bible was the one thing that I was like, okay, wonderful. But, why didn't you have him read from the Bhagavad Gita? Why didn't you have him read from the Vedas? If you're truly showing that you are advancing in terms of race relations, in terms of colorism, in terms of these conversations around multiculturalism, around backgrounds. Why didn't you have, anyway, I'm going to end it there, because if I don't, I'm going to be here ranting all day. So guys, please let me know what you think in the comments. I'm going to ask you in advance to please be as respectful as you can, because if you are disrespectful, it's the door. Just kidding. Guys, let me know what you think. Again, if you're new to this channel, please do me a favor. Go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button, hit the bell, so you know whenever I post a video. Sussexsquad, Squad, I'm sending you all my love. I hope that you're having a great week. I hope that you are well in your body, in your mind, in your spirit, eating some good food, lots of veggies and fruits, and drinking those liquids and good proteins to bait off that COVID-19 disease. And I hope that you are doing those things that are cultivating you and your mind and your well-being, whether it be reading or taking those nature walks or hiking or swimming, whatever it is. I really hope that your soul and your spirit is being cultivated. Don't allow yourself to be silenced. Don't ever allow yourself to be silenced. But guys, I'll leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for being here. Again, this is your girl Najwa. So happy you're here. See you next time.